The sun is shining, it's beautiful. My lunch hour here, and I get to do this live. A glorious live indeed. Canada, the 51st state. Truth that I've been teaching for many years. The last 4 epic years of my life. And growth and knowledge and the things I've imparted onto all of you, my closest and loyalist friends and followers. It's now mainstream in America, PBS, and it's hilarious. This was all done with Democrat-minded folks in larger majority than Republicans. But the truth be told, everything I teach of First Nations, but for the point of this title, the truth I've imparted on everybody as I, in the last 4 years, completed across Canada complete tour. All of it. All of it. The truth of British Columbia, Ontario, Quebec as it is, the most abused people in Canada and all of North America. I've done 34 states of the Union, 37. And, wow, it's hard to keep track. 37 states of the Union. And everything I've seen, experienced as an average Joe Jane Canadian, a working class person. The costs associated with Canada versus the United States, uncomparable. Property values in the United States, sure, Americans can complain, there's a wealthier class, but your property availability, I would give everything of me just to be allowed to reside 12 months a year and work in the United States for citizenship. I would do that in a heartbeat. I would own property in some of the most gorgeous southern states of the United States at unbelievable fractions of a cost of what a shit dump you'd find in Canada, in a hellhole. Worst of the worst. Literally 10 times what something like that equivalent would be in the United States, if it's even findable. And what I mean by that is there is no dump in the realm of probably 100 times less than what you'd find in Canada. So overwhelmingly, J.D. Vance gets on a pulpit and says, your government did this to you, Canadians, not myself, Donald J. Trump, or anything of America. And he should have followed up with you scabby fucks, because Canadians, we are scabs of America. And I mean that in what at least unions defined, and unions define that unions from America. I know I'm in an American union here in Canada, and it amazes me how many people can't see that everything we've got is from the United States. The supposed rights not enshrined that we fought and gave our lives for. Literally working people, my ancestors, my family members, gave their lives or freedom for. I'll say that, because people were put in jail too, criminalized in Canada, and shot to death in Canada, following American labor principles on a real country of freedom. That's the truth. Nobody, I'm not saying bad things happened in Americans' history, but what happened in Canada is way more atrocious. Everything you look at in the States that we took from the USA, that migrational culture in liberty and freedoms that we call liberalism, which is a lie. The Crown has no freedoms for any of you. The Lord thy God, your politicians in Canada, giveth and taketh away, not the God above. If you're a Canadian and you're in a denomination, you believe in the Quran or the Christian New Testament or Old Testament, or you're a Judaist that believes in that, you can't possibly go to a synagogue, a church, or a mosque week after week and believe all that, and yet go right back into your system in Canada and believe that that's not an abomination of what your scriptures teach you in all of those texts, and many more. I could get into other minority religions under the 3% and even under the 1%, but I've read 8 of those, at least up to the 1.2%. I don't go under 1% because in Canada, if you're in an organization under 1%, you literally have no rights at all. No rights at all. And that's what they're trying to do to the Canadian First Peoples. PBS publishes all of this truth for you. Quebec on day one was supposed to be the 14th colony. I love that. I've articulated that. A great abuse. Even when I went through northern Quebec, I did run into those. Real abuse. I mean, real full-on assault. It's being slapped in the face in Quebec. I went through that. That's okay. I'm a big boy. I'm tough. But, you know, and I know what happened. People are like, why didn't you have them charged? Well, my English word against that French word, in predominantly French area, everyone would say, well, you did something to deserve that, or you assaulted them, or who knows. I know how Canada is. I know the lying mentality of the average Canadian, bold-faced liars every day of their lives. I live that reality too, institutionalized. I've grown from that, and I'm proud to say at least since I got out of jail 10 years ago, I have not been a liar. I've lived an honest life as most possibly I could, and in that following the teachings of Jesus, no matter the price to pay, no matter how much populism was denied me, because the truth is never populist. I've never cared. And I can say this today, there's a strong piece of me in PBS and the listed historians, many of which who participated in that, Democrats too, folks, and yes, some Republicans, but honest Americans nonetheless, who give you all that truth. Everything I've been teaching over the last 8 years, the last critical 4 throughout COVID and my tours, and the things I've published on Facebook are now mainstream American. And it's there on PBS in a 12-hour series. I know everyone's not through it. I have the whole full stream. I have all of it. I took it. I'm glad, and that was imparted on me. And I'm very proud that I stayed up late last night finishing it. And my day and my life is excellent. I've lived a blessed life. I feel great. I'm not happy about Canada, but friends and followers, those closest to me, those who follow me the longest, if and when you finish your PBS, that's mainstream for the American public. That's truth of Canada. That's truth of the American Indians, who are all one people. That's truth of Russia. Russia as it was, Imperial Russia, what they did for America in the Revolution, the French, all of it, where they were, not necessarily where all are today, but absolutely the Russian Federation is. That's all released. It's going to change a lot. It's going to, if you want to study Russia like I have, it's going to bring you to World War I, the truth of what I've told you about World War I. Now, they don't get into that in the American Revolutionary documentary. It's all about the United States and its involvement in British North America. And yes, that's Quebec and the evil of that. And then the fleeing of the Loyalists into what's Ontario and Quebec today, what they've done to destroy Canada and what they've continued to do to destroy Canada. And it's the largest security threat to the United States today on the largest border in the world, unsecured. And if, again, I'm warning everybody, as I've been telling you, people are calling me names, calling me all these things. You loyalists, misguided, institutionalized loyalists, have no idea. When I say loyalists, I mean to the institution of Canada today, as they've captured the crown. And yes, Britain, UK, they all keep that going. Yes, I know, as I have Chrystia Freeland's nearly $2 million annual salary expense job in the Oxford Trust. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Rhodes Trust. She's going to make $10 million CAD over the next 5 years. Talk about destroy Canada for the interests of the Commonwealth under the Commonwealth Charter. If you think Britain isn't innocent on this, you're sadly mistaken. But remember, Britain empowered your prime ministers as they designed it right here in Canada, as all 9 kingdoms did. And you saw Prussia, the Imperial Russia, resist, and in fact help America in the War of Independence, train soldiers, in fact, against the British. It's amazing. I love it. I love all of this history as it really is, as I've went through it. What American Indians have and what Canadian First Peoples don't, even though they're the same peoples. How Canada has genocided them, destroyed them in the name of slaving a mass amount of the Canadian population. It's unbelievable. And J.D. Vance gets into that. And now PBS. And again, when I say PBS, 2/3 Democrat historians, Democrat constitutionalists involved in that 12-year project, 8 of which I'm involved in, 4 of which I'm absolutely there, especially in the model of Quebec and Canada as it became, and the earlier documents. I'm there. Look at me, a welder, an average Joe Jane who ascended something that could never be possible in Canada. I did in the United States of America, and everything that I've been criticized for is now mainstream America. 2/3 Democrat, 1/3 Republican, even though Republicans will all bring that forward and they all in the 90 percentile accept that. Right now, in the lower 30 percentile of Democrats, after the PBS publication's done, it's going to be a majority of Democrats accept that. The next major military conflict, if things remain the same, is going to be United States versus Canada. That is the next military conflict the United States is going to have. You Canadians need to wake up. Friends and followers, this video has to get out there. This truth has to get out there. And I urge everyone to watch the PBS 12-hour miniseries. You need to watch it. It's playing every day. It started on the 17th of November. You've got to watch it. It's epic. It's monumental. You learn the truth of King George III. As I've released all that, AI accepts it. Now PBS's story's out. The truth. It was Louis XIII before that. We don't see much of that inside this publication because it's based on 1776 onward, 1775 too, in relation to Quebec. But I give all that history even before that, the truth, the evil design of the socialist and fascist system that is Canada, the first and worst model in the world that is the supplier of the narratives of World War I, is the supplier of Nazi Germany, World War II, and all those kingdoms. The articulated model of evil is Canada today. And until we're dismembered and redesigned, that can always pop up everywhere worldwide, and it will. And it will always be the number one source of insecurity for Americans. And it will always be the war on America, the Great Wall known as Canada, all along largely the border in a massive percentile. How Canadians live, how absolutely brutally Canadians have to live, as I try to articulate. And I'm going to be doing more videos, but like I said, I'm cleaning up the dump I live at, because that's all that's available to me, even in a higher income bracket. That's the reality of Canada. It's not even for the people. I can't imagine a person in Canada not being in absolute stricken poverty at $30 an hour. CAD. That's how bad it is in Canada today. Folks, get this video out there. It's credible, real. Links in the title. You can all chase it down yourself. It's only going to get more monumental and more larger and more epic and in your face day after day, week after week, month after month. And folks, it's about to become year after year. We are far beyond in Canada past the point where we could do something about this and follow the real path, the good path. We're on the road to destruction, and Canadians don't see it. That budget passed is the absolute socialist and fascist destruction of Canada. Did you have to go to 1933? Adolf Hitler, Nazi Germany. You've got to go there to see that form of socialist, fascist nationalism spring up in a country. That should terrify every Canadian. That should have had every NDP and Conservative working in lockstep to finish that budget. But they couldn't. They were on board, as all your politicians are. It's theater, it's show. Just like PBS explains to you what the evil of Canada, British North America is. That's where your Constitution comes from. Before that, it's New France. King Louis XIII. Undeniable, factual, in your face, absolutely part and parcel of nearly all AI now. Canadians can get all these answers. Teachings I've been criticized for, run down for, threatened, isolating communities, lost employment over, for telling the truth, following the path, at least for me, of what Jesus Christ calls upon us to do. Being a real Christian in the face of pure evil, my government, at every level, federal and provincial, one entity, one crown, subdivided powers, like Legion. I kid you not. This is many voices, but one entity, just like Satan and the army of Legion in the Bible and all those scripture recordings. It's truthful. That's a story about your Canadian government. If you ever want to question that, all you have to look at is Doctrine of Discovery and Papal Bull Doctrine and Catholic Church out of Rome in those institutions, in those monarchies. Those stories, angels and demons, are all about the politicians, the monarchy. They're the demons. God bless everybody. Share, share, share. Get this out there. Link in the title, and you can look at the post before this. J.D. Vance, Vice President of the United States, nails it. When are Canadians going to wake up in clear majority? You've got to. And it calls upon all of you, friends and followers, to get it shared out. It's been 51st state the entire time of all of Canada's history. It's always been there. It's where we should be. That's my video. Share, share, share. Get it out there. And I am tickled pink. It's coming. This is going to be mainstream in the United States of America. You watch the Canadian government. No, we're banning PBS on all airways on that show, and you watch. That'll be the next thing they do. Partisanly, too. In majority. I know.